Okay, this is just a short video of some of the issues I'm having with Sword of the Stars 2. I'm going to run in window mode because it just gives you an idea of how the game performs. So I've just launched the game. You'll find mars.exe, which is there. Notice it's launches and uses about 77 megabytes of RAM. Okay, I'm going to load a game here that I'm on turn 93. This game crashes a lot, so here's the game loaded up. At this stage we're using 150 megabytes around about. This game really does eat RAM, so I think there is a memory hole in there somewhere, because it usually climbs a megabyte every 30 seconds to a minute. So here's the game running. It's pretty decent speed. Pretty much everything runs the way it should. Now the issue I'm having with this is, if we just have a look at the memory use here, 212 megabytes. Okay, now remember that number, 212. Now it's climbing at roughly, I'd say it climbs about a megabyte every 30 seconds to a minute or so. So now the issue I'm having is, every now and again, it may happen 2 minutes into the game, it may happen 4 hours into the game, but it will just hit a wall where it just slows down to the point of unplayability. Now I can force this, and I found a way of forcing it so we can show you in the video. But if I just rotate, so this nebula here, this blue nebula is above me, and what I'm going to do is, now don't forget, we're using about 240 megabytes now, 242, it's climbing all the way. Game is still smooth, I can move things around in front of it, it's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom through this nebula and watch what happens. And going, gone, died. Right, okay. The game is now just slowed down to the point of less than 1 frame a second. In fact, if you look at the rotating box there, you see how slow it's moving. But what's interesting is, if I flick to this, wham! 200 megabytes just eaten in one go. All I did was zoom through the nebula. Now, interestingly enough, is that where it says system, NT kernel system, is now using 50% of the system resources, and the game is now unplayable. It may recover after a while, but normally it doesn't. It'll just stay like this, and it affects everything. Windows is now unresponsive. I can get it to come back if I minimise the game, so everything comes back normally. But as soon as I bring the game back into the foreground, it's at a crawl, but it just slows everything down. It's just one major issue. This, I can't play the game at all. It's still eating more memory, but this, it does it whether I'm on, if I'm running a 32-bit processor or 64, it makes no difference. The only way I can get it to run without doing this is if I run it in a single core mode rather than dual core, but it's just happens every time. There's no way out of it. Another interesting side note here is, you might notice I'm not running the background stuff. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to turn it on, and this is another problem I'm having in the game. This is another reason it makes the game unplayable as well. So I'm going to switch menu background combat on. I'm going to exit the game again, and then I'm going to launch it. Now you might notice before the game runs very well. Whether I run it on very high settings or very low settings, it makes no difference with speed. I tend to turn all these off, so you might notice these off here, so I'm going to turn these off as well. I'm also going to bring this down. This makes no difference, to be fair, but whether it's on high settings or not. So this will take a while to load up now. Not too bad. If I run it in single core mode, it takes forever to get to the menu screen, but there's no slowdown. But if I run it in dual core mode, it gets to the menu screen very quickly. But a lot of this stuff here, which is actually working quite fast now, most of the time this slows down straight away to like literally 1 frame a second. So all I can think is there's some sort of game routine that runs without this particular menu. This one works okay, but let me just launch it again. Some of these background combats, the one where it's around a planet, I think, is it just runs specifically slow, does the same thing. So that's the main reason I don't. So here's another one. This one's not too bad. Let me quit out of that again. Let me try that again. It never does things when you want them to. So I might edit this out really, but no, it just keeps loading the same one up all the time. No, anyway, there's one of the menu background combats where it's above a planet, and it shows you the space stations first, and that as soon as the within about 10 seconds into it, it just slows down to a crawl and does what it was doing before. The other issues I tend to get with this game is I tend to get continuous crashes to desktop with turn refraction on, because otherwise my spaceships don't have windows. See if it's done it this time. I forgot to turn menu background combat off. Not to worry. Okay. Not to worry, it's not going to show me that, but never mind. So now I'm running in high detail mode, which makes little odds to the actual game itself. You know, like I say, it runs really quick. The timeout detection recovery errors can be avoided, but there we go, it started really slow this time. You see? If I just click on that anyway. See, sometimes it just starts really, really slow, so that's because it.
Hi, sir.
Here we go. It's just really sluggishly slow. Okay, so but there's obviously some major bug in the game that affects it. In fact, it's not doing anything now, so I'll quit out of that. Yeah, so that just demonstrates the issues I'm having with Sword of the Stars 2.